Blog Talk Radio.
Hey guys, this is Those Guys with your host Matt Marrero along with your other host.
They call me Jack.
Orinoa. Jack. I don't know if you've seen there's this anime that one of our fellow podcasters and Let's Players, Satish Ram, told me about called Daily Lives of High School Boys. And I've never seen it, although he has, so he's probably on a list. But I've never seen it, although I have Googled it. You Google the name, and I'm like, oh, no, this is bad. Why? Why is this the name of the show? Anyway. But what matters is that, apparently at one point one of the characters is like, Orinoa, Jack. So, so anyway, that made me think of Samurai Jack. And by the way, that's what we're doing today, Samurai Jack Season 1, and
That's
Tristan,
yes.
he always sounds like, Tristan always sounds like he's the least interested in everything that's going on, but I
Thank
swear
you.
to God, well, at least when you start off a show, that's how you sound. Once you get revved up, you go crazy in the best way, and you're very intense, and I love it. This freaking show is something that you never stop talking about. Like, I feel like, be like, how you doing? You're like, Samurai Jack. And I'm like, that's not a state of being.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, and I knew you'd fucking say that. But, no, like, you were one of those people that was asking, you were one of the people that would ask for a Samurai Jack revival while the show was airing.
Mm-hmm. Well,
you were like,
well, it was... all right, go ahead. Finish the joke. Let's see how this goes.
No, I finished the joke. You were supposed to respond, and you're pissed. Anyway, no, but in all seriousness, though, this is a very interesting show because I have to be honest, right? As a kid, I didn't watch it. Why didn't I watch it? Because as a kid, and this is, I know, I agree. But here's the thing, right? Because any of our younger listeners might be a little confused by me saying this, but this is still kind of goes on with me, but it's gotten a little bit better depending on how episodic a show is. But I used to have this thing where if I didn't get to watch a show from the beginning, I'd never watch it until I really had the opportunity to. Now, some people might be like, but Matt, you could get it. Some of our younger listeners could be like, but you could have gotten it through, and I have to, stop you guys. And even some of our older listeners that have just gotten used to things like Netflix and other on-demand services, or even just how everything seems accessible on the Internet, whether it be legal or not, right? All that is that's, first off, this show came out, if anyone forgot, in 2001. So at the time, I was 9.
Yeah.
But even then, at the age of 15, while things were, at least for anime fan subs and things like that, there were a lot of them. But I still feel like even for a show like this, it was a bit harder to get good versions of it if you weren't buying it. And, it was very hard for me to, tell my family, oh, no, please buy me this. There was at one point in my life when I was, if I was a kid and I was like, no, please, Mom, get me Samurai Jack DVDs, I'm sure she would have gotten them. But, again, I missed the premiere and stuff like that. So every time I saw Aku's narration, I was like, this is cool. But, honestly, Aku's narration was, in me instantly changing the channel. Because I was like, look, this doesn't seem bad, but I've already missed the first episode. The narration isn't helping me personally. I just would rather have seen the first episode, so I never got to it. Nowadays, it's like, oh no, I missed the first episode. Wait, what episode are you on? 5? I'll just marathon that until 5. Oh, I have a cable box with on-demand, in it, right? Because we pay a little bit extra for that. So literally, it's just I'll just watch it, on demand through Cartoon Network's on-demand thing, right? Things were different back then. So for some of our younger viewers that are like, oh man, I missed the last few episodes of this. Let me find it in any way possible. It's a lot different, back then. Obviously, again, this came out in 2001, which confused the hell out of me because I thought it came out in 2004. I forgot how young I was when the show came out.
Yeah. And
of course, in turn, you, which is why it was the perfect age for you, because you and I are weeaboo trash. So it just hit us it hit us at a great age. It did.
Oh no, I don't have a comeback or anything. I was just laughing.
All right. But no, the reason why I'm just impressed the show got made. Now, that isn't because I didn't watch it. Like, I'm the barometer. Well, if I didn't watch it, I'm just really shocked at the fact the show was even made. No.
If it doesn't have Matt Marrero's seal of approval, it's just not worth it.
Yeah, before I watched Pokemon, I heard it was doing kind of well.
Oh, God.
But then I saw it, and it's just been going on ever since. Like, what does that tell you? It's not nothing. Anyway, but yeah, so it's a very interesting thing, like the show being made, because now here's the thing I didn't know before watching this show. Now, the creator is the same creator behind Dexter's Lab, and has also worked on Powerpuff Girls, and eventually, because of the success of this show, went to work on the Clone Wars, the original 2003 one. Yeah. So, and we podcasted on that as well on our Star Wars Wednesday podcasts. And it's funny because when I watch this show, like when I watch Samurai Jack, I'm like, wow, of course this guy fucking worked on the Clone Wars.
Yep.
No shit, me.
Art style, yeah.
Well, the art style, the silences, like all of that, just like the long, like no dialogue but music, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, man, this makes a lot of fucking sense. Anyway, but the reason why I was confused, because again, yes, like Cartoon Network was like, well, he succeeded with Dexter's Lab, so as long as this isn't a complete flop and failure, we'll, give him the reins to do this. So it's not like they just believed in some random guy who said, hey, listen, I have a story about a samurai from the past going to the future. You guys will love this. It was because it's a strange concept, unless, of course, you have their backing. But also I would argue that, something else that I had forgotten, just before I preface why I thought this, like how this did so well, I forgot that this was, because it was 2001, this was a time when, and I don't want to seem like an older guy. I already said, some of our younger viewers, I don't want to seem like a guy who's like, oh, back in my day. But I do feel like cartoons on television were allowed to take a bit more risk. So a show like this, I don't feel like it would be made today.
Probably not today, no.
Yeah. Now, again, nothing against, Gravity Falls, Steven Universe. I mean, we've done podcasts on those. I fucking love those, right? And I haven't seen Adventure Time or Regular Show, but I've heard great things about both. Mm-hmm. So I'm not, hurting those shows. I'm not hurting, like, We Bare Bears, right? Because, like, I've seen, like, 5 minutes of that, and it actually seems really funny. So I'm not trying to hurt any of these shows. But an action show like this, I don't think it would be made today, especially with just this kind of not even gonna say heart, but like this, just the way this was scripted out, the like I said, the long silences, the pauses, the montages, having there be so much loss, having just the way the fights go on, right? Yeah. It feels more like something you would see in anime, albeit a lot different animation, of course. Something you see in anime versus see like if you showed me this, I'd be like, oh, so like it seems very indie. And I don't mean that as like a badge of like honor and so, oh my God, it's so good because it's indie. No, it just doesn't seem like something that would air on Cartoon Network compared to what we've seen over the years, like after shows like this, like Codename Kids Next Door came out. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, like that's what I mean. Like, oh, it's this kind of risk of just like, oh, he's a samurai, and we're gonna have a lot of other cultures included in this, and then eventually he's going to go to the future, but also it's going to be different parts of the future, and some episodes will be sci-fi, and some will be, like very much like Middle Ages-esque, like, it's just, and others will involve magic, essentially. Like, that's just fucking weird, man. It's great, and that's why I love it, but it's so fucking weird. And that leads me into why I'm surprised the show got made, because you would think that the kids, the action scenes, like the Jack fighting and not saying anything for 5 minutes, it doesn't matter because it's amazing. Like he doesn't have to say anything when he's fucking annihilating robots. But when it's him, not even in the first episode, because in the first episode you excuse it because it's very artsy and I personally love it. But when it comes to later episodes, just these long pauses and him just kind of walking around, despite the fact that it is good storytelling, and it's not like the director isn't good at that storytelling. I just assume that kids don't, like, many of them don't have the right, like the attention span to go through long scenes like that unless it's through fighting and through destruction. Right. So it seems a bit too mundane. And that's why I'm really shocked that this show went on for 4 seasons. But again, now that I know who is behind it, now that I know all the accolades it received in its first season, fuck the first season, in the first 3 episodes, which were at first released in a movie format.
Right.
Yeah, it just makes sense. It's like, oh, okay, everyone loved it, therefore it immediately got picked up for 4 seasons. Which makes sense, because if it didn't get picked up immediately, because I was wondering, right, watching Aku's Fairy Tales, as hilarious as those were, they did not seem like an ending to a season. I was sitting there like, this shouldn't really be how you would end a season. But then I looked online and, I found out that, it was already picked up for 4 seasons automatically. So because of that, you're like, oh, that's why they didn't end it in a very, like, finite, because usually, right, in a first season, when there's a finale, they're sitting there doing what they can to kind of half-ass end it, if they need to.
Mm. Right.
Because usually they're like, we don't think we're going to get fucking picked up again.
Yeah.
So it's just like, is Jack going to get back home? Maybe-ish. I don't know. Right? Like, they'd have to do something that would make you think, like, oh, maybe Jack is close to returning home or something. Like, they'd want to build up for a second season in case they get one. But many shows, at least the ones that I've seen, they sit there, and if they haven't been assured they're going to get 2 seasons, they're like, well, we're going to wrap things up mostly, right, as much as we fucking can.
Right.
Because, they sit back and they're like, we're probably getting canceled. So they had same thing happened with Scrubs, right? Like, they had a script planned out, like, in the off chance that they got canceled. Season 1 would have been, a lot different. The ending of season 1 would have been a lot different than what it was, right?
Right.
And that's what shows do. But this show didn't do that, and the next season aired in, like, March of 2002, and this ended in, like, December.
Yep.
So, like, obviously it's like, Cartoon Network was like, look, you're good, man. You're so fucking good right now. Yeah. But yeah, so before I continue and drone on about a show that I didn't even fucking see till this week, let me ask you. No, seriously, I'm going on and on as if I'm a fucking expert, and it's like, you've been watching this show over and over and over since you were fucking 8. So, let's ask you about it. Tristan, what do you think about this show? Sleeper hit?
Breaks out soapbox, puts on glasses, pushes them up, inhales deeply. So I'm going to drone on for the next hour. You better get yourself comfortable.
That's all the time we have.
No. Well, this was a show that I watched as a kid with my dad. Me and him together. Every time it came on, if there was a new episode, we sat down and watched it together.
Mm.
So this series definitely has a very special place in my heart. And my father loved it just as much as I did. And I loved it, because it was swords and samurais and, evil monsters and, action. And, my father studied kendo, and he's, read a lot of, I guess, just different books in martial arts and all that kind of thing, and folklore in Japan. So he got to see a lot of the more subtle stuff. And now that I'm older and watching it, I've seen it, on and off throughout all these years, ever since it came out. But, every time I would watch it, I'd see a little bit more of what he saw, kind of thing too, So it feels like it's kind of grown with me in a way.
Yes, and you mentioned that to me earlier off camera, off podcast, that it was very interesting you watching this and your dad watching this, because not that your dad's just the end all expert, but it really felt like they did their research when it came to Japanese culture, and it wasn't just, hey, let's make something with the samurai swords, you know, like all the kids like the samurai swords, right? And even the creator himself really was a huge fan of, you know, a lot like oh no, I'm blanking out on the radio. Oh no, Matt, are you blanking out on the radio? Yes. What?
Yeah. Gendy.
No, I'm trying to think. No, not Tartakovsky. I mean, yes, him.
Oh, okay.
But he, no, you're right, him. But what I'm trying to say is he was discussing, he was trying to pitch the series, right, to Cartoon Network executive Mike Lazo, or Lotso, because there's two Z's. And he was trying to basically say, like, hey, you know, remember David Carradine in Kung Fu? Wasn't that cool? And Mike Lazo was like, yeah, it's really cool. And that was the pitch. Basically, like, hey, and also apparently he's mentioned that you know, that he really enjoys Seven Samurai. Yes, Akira Kurosawa. There we go. I couldn't get the first name for Kurosawa. I was like, I don't remember. But anyway, the point is that he's actually a fan of these films, not just like, hey, you know, I mean, samurai is like pretty cool, you know, sword thing, you know.
Right.
I don't know why he's Russian. I don't know why the fuck he has an American. He's one of the mobsters. You commit crime. I didn't really say that, did I? It's like, you asshole.
It's funny because the series does make references to those kinds of movies too, and like even if you look at the first, or not the first episode, but the second and third where he's helping out the dogs, it's like that felt very reminiscent of, you know, the Seven Samurai, or that, you know, that telling of that story. Except it's just one samurai in this, but yeah.
I want to make a joke. I don't want to be rude because I'm always rude to you. I want to make a joke, like, just like Seven Samurai, with the dogs intact. No, but you were saying how, you know, it feels very authentic. And frankly, like, there are some parts of this show that I think are dated. However, I would actually make arguments for certain parts of the show being the way they are. Now, what I mean is, you look at the first episode where they have the cinematic. I guess you would call it cinematic. I mean, you could just call it a long montage as well, I guess, where you have Jack traveling across the country, and he ends up going to what seems to be Africa, and the black people there are very black.
Right. I figured you would make a note.
But now here's the thing, though. I'm not African American. So if someone who's African American says, no, but that is offensive, like you first thought, Matt, stick to that, I'll be like, okay, got it, I understand. The reason why, though, I want to argue for it is because, the art style itself is very cheap and minimal, and I say cheap in a good way. And
it's very stylized too. Right.
Yes, of course. Oh, thank you. You reminded me of a great point that I wanted to make too, where this is the shit. When I say, like, oh, anyone who's like, oh, this is terrible animation. Yes, it was 2001. Yes, I will admit it was cheap, but stylized is in the same way that people were complaining when we did our Star Wars Wednesday podcast about the 2008 Clone Wars movie, and people were like, oh, it's terrible animation. I'm like, it's stylized more so than it's terrible, in my opinion. Anyway,
the animation is smooth and everything's pretty damn crisp. It's just a style choice.
Yes. But anyway, what I want to talk about why I would defend the very, very, like, literally the black skin on an African American person, because of the fact that, like, they were in an area that was surrounded by dirt, and the dirt was the same brown that you would use for his skin palette. So I think they were sitting there like, oh, he would blend in if we made him accurate. So let's make it a color that stands out. Because, again, you look at this animation, and very much you had to have prime colors stand out.
Yeah.
So that's just my take on it. I'm not saying it's right, because I still think that it would have been nice if he was brown, not just pure black. Because, again, it's like, even if you're going to sit there and go, no, but, you know, that's how older things would portray it as, and we're trying to make it like older things. Yeah, but it's not. You're in 2001. Don't do that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, we've had a discussion before, you know? Where like you and I
Yeah.
have been like, oh, back in the day something would have been portrayed as this, so and that's what they're
Right.
trying to reference, and it's like, yeah, but you're also in the 2000s. Don't do that.
I don't
You know?
think it was more of going to portray it as it would have been portrayed in like old days. I think it's more
Okay.
of a sense they're not using the coloration to
Yeah.
project them in a negative manner like old time stuff would do with
Like blackface.
having the black people
So,
be like blackface, exactly. I mean, Jack even goes there to train with these people. It's showing that each place that he goes to on his journey as a kid has an important lesson to teach him. And granted, yes, each is only a few seconds, and it's usually like different weapons training, maybe not their ideologies and stuff like that. But each place he goes to, I feel like, is a little stylized and maybe even a little bit stereotyped, but it's not used in like a negative manner. To be like, these people are like this in a bad way. It's
remember, stereotypes are still negative even if they're not used to be negative. But I see where you're coming from. They don't come from a place of hate is what you're trying to say.
Right. That's what I'm trying
exactly.
to say, yeah.
No, of course, and that makes 100% sense. Because they're not, obviously. Why would they? Like, in no way. Like, it would be so weird if Tartakovsky was just like, let's do all this research and really try and, look at every single society fairly, except for African Americans. Looks around to see if any are around,
case,
and by that I looks around to see if any. What? Well, yes,
no,
Africans,
like
right?
In
of course.
Jack's case,
no,
African,
you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's like except the Africans. Turns around to see if any Africans are around, and by that I mean the blacks. Yeah. Yeah, though. Obviously that would be so fucking weird, right? Like if we're gonna do research on everyone except them.
Right.
Yeah, except them. Like what the fuck? No, but at the same time, I would argue it's just because of the palette. Like it's not like I would argue it's simply because of the fact that brown dirt, and in their case with the way like they did their animation, it was just like you had to make it one color.
Right.
Because even if it was like, no, make the brown lighter. Yes, but then their dark brown, I feel, would still mesh, or clash, whatever word you want to use, because I'm not good with the words. I do podcasts for a living, though. Still, I understand why they would make them that dark. It was just a thing where I was like, oh. Like I was like, I don't know. But yeah, and again, just dated, right? Just having Arabian princes and things like that. Like I said, in some ways, I meant it in a great way where I was like, they won't make a show like this today. In other ways, I'm like, wow, yeah, dated would not make a show like this today. I mean, even the gunfire, I was like, oh man. Like, that is
the
different.
Flashes of light. Yeah.
No, just in general, just the mob and other types of, and of course the Scotsman having a gun leg, which by the way is so fucking Japanese it hurts. Isn't it though?
Why is it specifically Japanese?
Maybe I'm wrong here. Maybe I haven't seen enough American cowboy or other films, but when I think of gun leg, it's a pure Japanese thing to me, like anime.
I mean, yeah, okay, that I would, I would agree with that. It's like, that's a pretty anime thing to do, but
that's what I'm saying. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's specific American films that's like, no, Matt, but you haven't seen this classic, and I'm like, oh, okay, because I can also see it being a cowboy thing as well. But and the reason, and it's funny, combine the two, and what do you get? Trigun. Anyway, or Bebop, although in space.
Right.
But anyway, so there's some things that, again, I'm like, oh, wow, they can't even do those today. It's great. And others, I'm like, yeah, they definitely can't do that today, and that's okay, right?
Right.
The one thing I do like that they did, though, is even though I want more African-American people in the show overall, I will say that having Phil Lamar voice over Jack, it's very, it's a very hard thing because it's funny, right? Talk to super liberals and be like, the Japanese guy wasn't voiced over by a Japanese guy. And it's like, what? How dare they? It was voiced over by an African-American guy. I don't know how to feel.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Also, the demon, who's also very much Japanese, is voiced over by a Japanese man. I don't know how to feel. Like, it's great. Just talk to uber liberals and tell them that, and they'll be like, I feel like they'll just short circuit. Like one of Aku's robots, they'll just fizzle out.
Right.
Is it racist or is it progressive? Ha ha. But I have to say though, I'm so happy that Phil LaMarr was able to do this because I like Phil LaMarr from Mad TV.
Right.
So I know him more as
Huh.
a comedy. Yeah. So I know him more as like, a comedy guy, and I can't think of some of his other works, but usually he does comedy. So the fact that they had him play Jack was very interesting. Yeah. And also like how mute they kept him most of the time. I don't know, like it was a very interesting situation, and something I really want to mention. First off, speaking of the voice actors, I love that they reused voice actors so much, and I really hope you notice that now. Like, because if not, I'll watch a season with you again and point out every time Tom Kenny did a voice. And if you don't remember who that is, Tristan, I think you know.
No, I do.
SpongeBob SquarePants, if anyone doesn't know. And he's just, like, no, because he would literally, like, during all the scientists that were trying to go to space, he was literally the younger scientist with brown hair, and then immediately is the one with glasses.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is so cheap, and I love it. Oh, he was every single one of those, the guys that the alien race that enslaved the what was it, the Woolies?
Yes. Yeah.
He was every single one.
Oh, God, I have it written down.
I'll just call them assholes, honestly. But he was every single one of those assholes. Asuhoru Seijin.
The creature lights. That's what it was.
Creature Seijin.
So even their name is kind of like, oh, you're monsters. That's just literally what you are.
The fact that Jack didn't kill each and every one of them, that's the one thing you realize, too. You're like, right, I still am watching a kid's show because of the fact that, like, despite the fact it's 2001, they can't show any of the Woolies stomping on the creature lights. Like, they all have to, like, fly away from every step, even though you hear crunching.
Although I will argue that in the second and third episode, when Jack is going up against the robots, it's like, well, he can slice and dice robots all he wants because they're not people. But the way the oil would fly onto him, and just as he goes to the next one, and just the spray of oil is on him, it's like, in an old samurai movie, it's like, that's blood. He's literally covered in the blood of his enemies. Like, let's not even joke here.
And that's the crazy thing about censorship, man. Because, and mind you, I'm not trying to come off as a hippie here. We're like, that's why we got to get rid of censorship, man. Like, no. I'm just trying to say, like, straight out, that's the crazy thing about it. We've said this so much on the show before in so many different podcasts, not just ones with you and I. If it's a robot, it's A-O-fucking-K. Like, literally, I'm pretty sure, even though I think this might skirt some lines, Jack, not like I don't think he should do this as a character, but like in a scenario, Jack could kill a baby robot. I mean, like infant robot, and it'd be like, well, it's a robot. Like, as long as it's a robot, you can fucking do anything to it. And it's happened in Power Rangers. It's happened here. It happens in literally anytime you think of American media. And I know Power Rangers from Japan. I know. Believe me, I fucking know. But still, the point is that bringing it over, it was a lot easier for them to fight robots or things that aren't humanoid, on television and, like, punch them in the face, literally, like, kick their heads right off their fucking bodies. Like, look at that, right? All the fucking blood, but it's oil, so it's okay. And it's like, that really shouldn't be okay. Not that I'm saying that we shouldn't have had that scene. I think that's what really got me into this show. Because if that scene didn't happen, I don't know, like, I just wouldn't have really, like, it would have hurt the show. Because I have to say that at that point, by episode 3, I wasn't into it. Because I was into episode 1, Episode 2, I was in between. And then the third one, I didn't hate it, but I was kind of like weaning off the excitement from episode 1. And then that last fight, I was like, holy shit, I'm in. Right? Because just the tenacity, right? Just everything that Jack brought to it, I was a huge fan. Did you feel the same way, Tristan? I know you were a kid at the time, but like, did episode 1 just hook you in and you never looked back, or do you have a similar experience? Oh no, it seems as if Tristan is dead, everyone. Has this happened on the air? Oh, it did. Okay, wait a minute. Hello, Tristan!
There we go. Aku tried to silence me.
I love that. That would be wonderful.
It's okay. I sent him back to the pit of hate in which he came from.
Let me stop the boy from Selden.
Well, it's
Sends
funny
you to the future?
I laughed. Yeah, I laughed like watching this again because as a kid I always thought of Jack's dad as my dad, and I was little Jack playing with the wooden sword.
No. You're like,
yeah,
it's funny. Your dad's always the cool one.
Yeah. He's Goku. He's Jack's dad.
So I have a question. So now I'm going to be your therapist. Why was your dad enslaved by a Japanese demon? Why was your dad killed multiple times? Why do you have these issues with your dad?
I'm trying to save him. He's still there. Don't tell me he's dead.
Why did you gather a dragon's balls to bring your dad back to life?
Wouldn't you?
Yeah.
I'd do that for my friends.
Well, you know what's really funny?
Everyone. Anyway.
You know what's really fucking funny? And I'm so sorry, Tristan. I'm so sorry, but I have to make reference to this. My dad passed away 2 years ago. So the fact that when I was just like, why'd you get dragon's balls to bring your dad back to life? And you're like, wouldn't you? And I'm like, he didn't realize it. Now he's going to be crying for like a week because I said this to him. Now he's going to be crying for a week like, I'm so sorry. I'm going to be like, it's cool, dude. I have Pocky. But I don't know how the two are related, but I have Pocky. So I'm like, I'm pretty good right now. But anyway, but in all seriousness, though, I'm only bringing up the fact that when I don't know if you heard this because I know your phone cut out, but I was saying that, when episode 3 came around, the last fight, that's what got me, I guess, re-hooked, right? Because episode 1, I was hooked. I was in.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So then, do you have a similar experience?
I mean, I was pretty much, I was hooked from episode 1 and onward. Like, there wasn't really a point where I lost it.
Well, because you were a kid. No offense. But, if I was a kid hooked into it and I got to see the first episode, I would have been entranced too, I'm sure. What I want to say, though, is, does the pacing make more sense now that or maybe you've always known, and so we never actually had the chance to talk about this, but I didn't know that these first 3 episodes were released as a movie on television. Now that I know that they were, the pacing makes a lot more sense to me because the way that last fight stood out in episode 3, I was like, why did it take 3 episodes for something that major to happen?
Right.
And I now realize, they were a movie.
Yeah,
because
I actually forgot about that. But now that you mentioned it,
forgot.
It does make sense.
Yeah, no, I had a feeling you forgot, but then again, I also never know with you because you can recite, at least when it comes to Star Wars, you'll be like, actually, yeah. So, like, you're fucking Wikipedia, essentially. So, so I look at this, and I just wanted to bring it up. Like, it was a movie, and it makes so much sense because, again, episode 2 is when it's like, oh no, he's been transported to the past, and it's like, or to the future rather. Right. And if it's not like, I was sitting there like, wait, so this came out on a weekly schedule for the first 3 weeks? That's a lot.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, that's a lot to kind of like wait for a kid every single week to be into it, and But I was like, made for TV movie makes a lot more sense. The pacing just works if it's all together because it makes sense. It's like, okay.
Yeah, I did love in episode 2, like 2 points, when Jack, lands and he walks up to that group of 3 guys, and they all just start throwing like street slang at him. Like,
yeah, I love how that's the future.
I did not understand it as a kid, but now I just laugh so hard every time.
Yeah.
And the fact that
like, yo, Jack,
that's
what's
the name
up?
he
And
takes, that's the name he takes. It's like, it works, but it's like, that's what you just call the average Joe. And it's like, you know what? Oh God, that works a lot more than,
Yeah. No, it's just really funny because, like, it's, you know, he's so humble. He's just like, the people of this world call me Jack, and I am a samurai. Therefore, I am Samurai Jack. That's all. Like, I love him so much. I love his character so much because he literally never gets lost to rage, and then the one time he does, he's punished for it, but in a way that, like, I don't know, like, I just love this character so much because, you know, we mentioned it, I think we mentioned it during a Star Wars Wednesday podcast. I'm pretty sure that's where, although it may have happened in Anna Saturday as well. I'm not sure which podcast this came out in, where we were talking about the concept of, like, true good and true evil, and how it feels like that has definitely been lost in many forms of animation, be they American or otherwise, or Japanese or otherwise. This idea that, like, oh no, that person's evil, I'm good, let's fight to the end, right? It's kind of like, oh no, but you have to understand, Aku was abused as a child.
Yeah.
And you're like, I'm not saying it didn't happen in later seasons. I haven't seen anything. I'm going into this fresh. But assuming that doesn't happen, even if it did, still, Aku would end up probably doing something even worse to make you be like, even though it did happen, screw you, Aku, right? Which some shows do, and I'm okay with that. But other shows, it's kind of just like, oh no, you know, Aku, he actually was abused as a child, and that's why he's that way. Oh my God, there's an even bigger threat. Double Aku. Well, Aku needs to work with Jack now to fight double Aku.
Oh, okay.
Like, but I'm saying, like, that's how, like, some anime do it nowadays, even, you know, like, not some, but many anime do, where it's like, oh no, but the villain has to have some kind of backstory that makes you cry. And it's like, I'm happy that it's just like, no, Aku's a fucking demon, man.
Right.
And Jack, even though, like, look, he does have his internal struggles. Again, he got very, very angry because of everything that's been going on, and why wouldn't he? But even then, he is punished for it, technically, in a way, and then he has to fight that, his own personal demons, essentially. He says it out loud, personal demons. That, you know, kind of storytelling, I think is just something that we've lost, and we've kind of gotten very, very cynical in our storytelling, and I don't mean that in a bad way, because I do like the realism injected in, but I do like that we could just have a show like this that can just be, like, straight-up cartoony, even though he did do, Tartakovsky did do research when it came to certain cultures. It still can just be cartoony in the fact that, you know, Jack has a jetpack in space, and because, like, no air in space, right? I mean, obviously no air, but I mean, like, you wouldn't be able to make the jetpack stuff work in space, assuming.
Right.
That's what I mean. Like, obviously, it's kind of funny. No air in space. No shit, Matt. No, obviously, but, like, the whole, like, I don't think a jetpack would work in space. Or there was some other things that happened. Oh, yeah, just the way there was, like, a breach in the hull, sort of, by, like, those mosquito robots. And even though Jack destroys them all, there's clear holes in it. There's clear holes, but the ship's fine. It can still go.
Yeah. Right.
Like, there's holes in your fucking ship in space. Nah, they're good. They're good. Like, little things like that I just enjoy because we're watching a fucking cartoon.
Right. Yeah. It takes itself seriously, but in the necessary spots. Like, there are obvious points where it's like, look, we can overlook this. It's like, we're still in a cartoon.
Oh, the fact that Jack can walk around in in essentially what is the city of Atlantis and not get crushed by the fucking pressure of the sea.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. It's a fucking cartoon, right? So I enjoy being able to, you know, I guess, revel, I guess, if you want to say that, in the fact that it's a cartoon in some ways, you know? Instead of having to sit here and be like, oh no, will Jack have to fight? Will Jack have to not save this village to fight Aku? It's like, no, of course he fucking wouldn't. He's Jack. There's no moral quandary. He's Jack.
Right.
Why would you expect Jack to be like, well, sometimes you have to make sacrifices? Like, no.
No. I mean,
and again,
he does make
if it happens
sacrifices,
later,
but it's always on himself. Like,
exactly.
in a lot of the first episodes, it's always, I have the chance to go back home, but I can't let these people suffer.
I will admit, I'm worried about the newest season because the newest season is going to be on Adult Swim, or I mean, Toonami, but still Adult Swim is, the branch. So I worry about how he may be portrayed or what he might say.
Yeah.
Because now it's like, we're on late night. And, like, I, in some ways, prefer the limitations, in some ways, not in all, in the limitations that television shows that are, on in an earlier time slot, the limitations they put on their shows, because I have to be honest, right? Having the oil go about, in a way, is creepier than the blood. I think maybe because we've seen personally, I've seen so much blood. Like, I have seen so many horror movies and a lot of slasher films and stuff like that. That, like, look, if it was blood splurting, I'd be like, oh my God, but it wouldn't be like the oil. I don't know, like just him covered in the darkness of that oil, especially knowing that the darkness is related to like Aku and stuff like that. That black color. It is just, to me anyway, it was more refreshing to see something like that versus him being covered in the blood of his enemies, just verbatim, like just actual blood.
Right.
I don't know. Right, we've talked about this before, I think, with horror in certain television shows, where it's like, the show's for kids, so we can't outright show the monster, we can't outright do this. But I would prefer that method of storytelling than just being like, oh, no, I'm ripping off heads. I mean, think about it, right? You and I did Garzy's Wing for Anna Saturday, and all of that blood did nothing for the storytelling. I mean, it was gory. I was like, oh, shit, right, fucking that can happen. But I don't think I was sitting there like, or you were, and like, you know what? This was shit. But then when the blood came out, I was like, well. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, it didn't do anything for the series.
Exactly. Anyway,
and in this,
now you meant
I like that they can still have serious moments like that, but obviously, it's not going too far with it because it is still, a kid's cartoon.
Mhm.
But it's like, that's why, Aku has robots. It's like, so we don't have to have the moral dilemma of, oh, God, he just cut someone in half. It's okay. It's not a person. It's like, granted, then the whole quandary with, it's like, well, what about droid rights? And that's a whole other story. But I hear C-3PO from Star Wars Droids. Another podcast we've done.
What the? Yeah, I remember that, right? What about droids? I know, you can do it too. Thank you. You can promote the show too. Thank you. We've been doing this for we've been doing this for like 3 years now. Jesus. Anyway, but getting back to the specific show, I want to ask you, because you mentioned before, you were like, oh yeah, I love, I love that scene, or I love this scene. I want to ask you, what is your favorite episode of season 1? You know what's funny? It actually is, because after episode 3, in my opinion, every episode was good.
Yeah.
Just maybe I would say, despite the fact that it was funny, I would put Aku's Fairy Tales on the lower end of the list. No offense, it just wasn't the rest of the show. Yeah.
Yeah, like, it's still nice, like, it's okay to do something funny, but it's still nice to have some of the action in the episode. But I love that episode so much, and I think it would be something really, really cool if they do this for the new season. Like, not saying those kids specifically, but if kids, that grew up in the future, because the new season is supposed to take place, it's been 50 years now, at least I believe, from the last time we saw Jack. So those kids are not kids anymore. I would really love it if they somehow, like, ultimately, like, you see it with the other, peoples that Jack comes in contact with in the future. Like the, the Aqua...
Wait 1 second, sorry. How many years in the future? 15 or 50?
50.
I don't know if Jack would still be around.
Well, that's a thing that's apparently part of Aku's magic. Like, I don't want to talk too much about it, but
no.
I've
It's
seen,
fine.
like,
It's fine. That's
he's
not.
not
Yeah, it's
aging.
fine. Let's not talk about that. Okay, let's not talk about that then. No worry
right.
about it. Don't worry
But
about
the
it.
thing, like,
Anyway.
I want to see those kids that are like, no, we want to hear stories of Jack. Like, you know, these are the kids that grew up. It's like, Aku's already in power. All the elders, even Aku says it himself, it's like, oh, the elders still, you know, remember my terror and the destruction that I wrought across this land. They dare not speak out against me. But this new generation, they don't know of my terror. And, like, terror isn't necessarily going to work on them. So he's like, all right, I'm going to be the hero in their hearts instead of, you know, the samurai. And, of course, he tries to do that. And the kids are like, no. It's like, that's the thing. You know, not all the time, but sometimes people don't give kids credit. It's like they can realize what's going on for themselves, too. And they know that, in a way, Jack is their only hope. But if they could work together to help him, like, ultimately, Jack is the one who has to fight Aku. It's the sacred sword. It's the only thing that can hurt Aku. He has to be the one to do it. But there are so many others that could still help him. Yes, you know, it's dangerous, and I don't think Jack would want them putting their lives on the line, but it's like, look, the whole world is out to get you. Arguably, the whole universe is out to get you in the future, but, you know, you can't do it all by yourself, Jack. You got to get help from someone.
Yeah. Now, but here's the thing, though, right? Before we go into even though I think that it was a good concept, right, the kids rebelling because they're kids and, you know, they haven't, because the world is changing around them, they haven't actually seen Aku have to, like, tear up cities because it would just not make sense for Aku to do that.
There were so many times in that episode where I thought he was just going to breathe fire on all of them.
I was like, this is a kid's show. He can't do that, right?
Right, he can't do that, but dear God.
No, but still, the reason why it isn't one of my favorites as a whole episode is because it devolves into fairy tales that are hilarious, but there was so much before it in the season that I enjoyed. That's why I want to get back to my original question before we talk about the setting and you know, and how what was your favorite episode?
I guess if I had to absolutely pick the episodes, there's a certain character, and I know you know exactly what I'm going to talk about because you loved him too, but there is one character that will always ring out in my head when an episode of him comes on. I immediately start jumping up and down. It's the Scotsman. Jack and the Scotsman is probably my favorite episode if I had to pick one.
You know what's interesting? So I want to say I loved him just because I thought it was going to be like Tom Kenny or another actor that we had seen in the show already. And he may have voiced over someone else that I couldn't tell, but I'm pretty sure that was the first time John DiMaggio did a voice in the show. And yes, John DiMaggio, the voice of Bender, the voice of, I think, is it Jake from Adventure Time, I believe? The dog.
Yeah, I think so.
Yes, so he voices Jake, he voices Bender.
Right.
He also ended up, I think he voiced Aquaman in, it might have been Young Justice. I know that he ended up voicing Joker in Under the Red Hood. He is such a good voice actor that hearing him, I was like, this is nice. Because we got the same voice actors a lot. So hearing his voice, I'm pretty sure if he did voice someone, he may have voiced one of the dogs. But I'm pretty sure he didn't.
Right.
So it was nice to hear his voice, basically. It's just because, you know, this came out in the early 2000s, and I'm like, oh, yeah, I know that this person's from this show, this person's from that show. So, like, you know, a lot of voices, you know, cross over with different shows, both on Cartoon Network and on other, you know, networks as well. So it was really nice hearing his voice. I was like, hey, John DiMaggio. One thing I want to mention that I found really funny, and I think you might have noticed this, when the Triceraquins, that's where Jack was.
Yes.
Like, that's the people.
Yes.
You noticed that some of them were based off of, like, the Beatles, right?
Yeah. No, I definitely heard it.
I laughed so hard because every time I heard one of them, I'm like, why the fuck is he Ringo? Did they just sit there and they were like, what other voices can we do? Because literally, I got to be honest, this show had like 10 voice actors or less.
Yeah, right.
Literally. This show had like 10 voice actors. The only thing that like in reusing voice actors that I actually nearly peed. I nearly pissed my pants, dude. When they had I nearly laughed so hard. I was like, I can't do this right now. They got Phil Lamar to voice the little kid in episode 13.
Yeah.
In the season finale. So literally it's young Phil Lamar like, but I'm the one that he does a young like a Phil Lamar doing a younger voice. But I'm the only one that can do a Jack impression. A good one. And then he does his own voice for Jack.
Right.
How funny is that, dude? Like imagine if I was just like fucking just imagine that. Just like, but I'm the only one that can do a good Matt Marrero impression. Hi, I'm Matt Marrero.
And then you
what the fuck?
And that's something that I really love about this series. Like you said, they only had about 10 different actors, maybe more, but they each new character they tried to do a certain twist. Like you can tell it's the same actor in, different scenes, but like they gave each character its own unique voice as much as they could. And they do the same with like the backgrounds, the towns, like each have their own like similarities. Like, a lot of the cities are similar, or the backgrounds are, not done in a huge amount of detail, but everything is given a little bit of love, just enough to make it like it really felt like each city, each scene, each environment that they went through was just a little bit different and stood out. And even the music, I felt like in certain points was really tailored to like where they were or what they were doing, and I thought that was really cool. Yeah. Just as an overall series, I love what they did to make things stand out just a little bit from every other episode,
Yes. So, I don't know what my favorite episode is. I realize it is also hard for me to actually decide. Because looking at it, it might be Jack and the Gangsters, just because of like the Chicago and New York thing going on there. But I have to say that Jack in Space was just so much fun.
Yeah.
Like Jack, although I think, because I want to choose Jack, the Woolies, and the Creaturelites. It's spelled differently because it doesn't want to make you think creatures immediately.
Right.
The Creaturelites. Because that one, I think it was just like, wow, you're actually talking about the fact that they enslaved people. Like, holy shit, this is dark. Because, like, it's funny.
Right.
And not funny, but funny and like a... No, because here's the thing. I expected something to happen. Like, the Woolies would be like, please, or actually say words. I expected it to come out somehow.
Yeah.
But then when it happened, it still took me by fucking surprise. And I was, like, the hairs in the back of my neck stood up. I was like... holy shit. Because literally just...
You understand me?
Not just that, no, just the fact that, like, I'm sitting there, and I'm like, I have a feeling that this is going to be bad, but because they just came off as dicks. The problem is that the animation style, I don't know if they try to do this with everyone just to, like, make you not trust anyone, but a lot of the time, everyone came off as a dick animation style-wise. What do I mean by that? No, but I don't know if you... No, let me explain. It felt like it could be like Jack could walk by, literally a baby, and Jack would be like, hello, baby. Baby would be like, hi. And, like, as he's walking away, the baby would have a sneer to it.
I mean...
And you'd be like, no, as I'm saying,
I'm
the
laughing inside
maybe.
Because I know that happens at one point, but...
Does the baby really do that? God fucking damn it.
Not in this season, but later on.
For fuck's fuck. He thought I was a baby, but in fact it was Aku. No, but
I mean,
but seriously
if
though,
episode 6 was anything to tell you that Aku will steep, he will. There is no length or no low that he will not go to,
But
get what he wants.
But you're Aku. But you and I made love, and it was very tender love, Jack.
Oh, God. He's like, oh, poor Ikra with her father. And Jack is just horrified. Like, I just fell in love with the demon that enslaved my family and destroyed my home. I am
How does that
violated
boner
in ways
feel,
that I never
Jack?
thought I could be. Oh. And I love how they made it so obvious that even as a kid, I was like, this is too obvious. Like, I looked at her and I'm like, she's Aku. And there were so many signs throughout the episode. Like, even the fortune teller's like, no, you don't understand. That's the evil. It's like, it's too obvious. 8-year-old me was like, it's Aku, really? Like, we're going for the obvious, like, you know, same color scheme even? I'm like, no, it can't be. Like, that'll be the twist. She's actually not. And then by the end of it, I was so convinced that it was such an obvious twist that she couldn't be, and it was. I was like, no!
Yeah, I think it's very interesting how direct they made it, because you would think that, at least in some ways, they wouldn't. The color scheme just makes sense. That, like, yes, he's going to have the same color. But here's the reason why it wasn't that big of it wasn't that hard of a, I'm sorry, was it? It wasn't that easy because of the color scheme. Because aliens exist, and they've shown that. So it's not like the color scheme was immediate. It's the fact that, like, even mice were just like,
even
get me the fuck out of here.
Like, even her cape was, like, curled at the very ends, though. Just how, like, Aku is.
That was obvious. That was obvious. Yes, you are 100% correct.
Yeah.
The curls were no shit, right? But the color scheme, her being green, it's just like, if anyone was like, why would she be green? Aliens existed, yo. Like, we've seen if this was in the first 3 episodes or 4 episodes, it'd be like, oh, wait, what? Or even 5.
Yeah.
But, like, this was episode, let me make sure, this was episode
6.
11. Oh, wait.
What? No, this was episode 6. With Ikra and Jack.
No, Jack in Space was episode 6.
No, Jack in Space was episode 5.
No, Jack and 3 Blind Archers was episode 5.
No, that was episode 7. I will fight you.
Oh, fucking God. I'm looking at a list of fucking episodes and when they aired, motherfucker.
Well, they're wrong.
Yeah, what the fuck? Why is this episode list different than my episode list? No, you're right.
Well,
I guess the DVD lists them in production order. God damn it.
Maybe.
No, that sucks because now technically we saw them out of order, quote unquote. Because you're right. Yeah, as episode 6, that is pretty awkward. But as episode 11, that's not. God damn it! I forgot that they.
I think we've seen enough of aliens that even at we've seen enough of other, you know, different peoples on Earth at this point that even if it's at 6, it's not that jarring.
That's true. That's true. I'm just a little mad now that I fucking hate when shows do this. Sorry, now I'm going to get on a small little tiny rant that infuriates me. No, it's a little fucking rant that infuriates me. When the air dates for certain shows in no way affect, like, okay, you look at the production order of a show and you look at the air dates, and the air dates differ from the production order, but in no way does it change anything, like the way the air dates were listed versus the production order, right? And I say change in the fact that, like, there are certain episodes of Batman the Animated Series that I would argue the air dates are better than the production order, like, to put them out on the DVD. Because the production order, just because they were produced in a certain way, doesn't mean that that's the exact way the story needs to be told, especially when a show is mostly standalone with some parts of plot around.
Yeah. Right.
So I'm fucking pissed because, like, even though watching this in 2 different orders, I don't think it would have changed it at all because pretty much everything is standalone minus the first 3 and the last one, which are in order, like listed here and on the DVD. Right. It's just fucking frustrating to me because I'm looking around and I'm like, really? Are you fucking serious right now? Like, no, because, like, the DVDs will always list them in, quote-unquote, the wrong order.
Right.
Or the production order. So, like, basically, 12 and 13 are both the same, both production and air date. But 11 on the DVD is Jack and the Scotsman. And 10 is Jack and the Lava Monster. And 9 is Jack Under the Sea. So I'm confused. So you just watched them in the wrong order? Well, because, even though you have the DVD, like, you just saw it differently?
Yeah, I guess
guess.
so.
That's weird. Like, no, because, like, I don't... Cool.
Oh.
No, because they're listed. The names are all listed.
Right. Okay.
I don't know how you did that. Good job, buddy.
I don't know how
Anyway.
I did that either. But I confused the fuck out of you, and you're never going to let me forget.
Yeah, clearly. So anyway,
one fun note about the Blind Archers episode. I made a D&D campaign based around that episode, and it was glorious.
That's funny. It makes sense.
Yeah, because I saw that, and I'm like, arrows raining down from the sky? Like, rainfall? Oh, I can use this.
But
that
anyway,
was another episode that I really loved because of the idea, like, it brought you back to Jack's training. Like, he even takes the moment to pause and, like, let me remember my training, because I know I've been trained to fight this kind of scenario. I have to fight on their level. And just the visuals that they use, and, like, they take the time for, like, each piece to fall into place. It's like, I can hear the water, I can hear the animals. I can hear the elements around me. And to the point where it's like I can even hear the snow falling on the ground. And granted, you can argue whether that's humanly possible or not, but we're in a cartoon, so it's cool.
Well, yeah, he's Jack.
He's
basically Batman.
Yeah. And he even takes the time to be like, let me practice again. Like, I know how to do this, but let me practice a little bit so that when I go to use this technique, I don't get shot up immediately. And to the point where he can even hear the feathers on the ends of the arrow as they're moving through the air and be able to dodge them. It was amazing for me.
God, I love this show. Yeah, it gets better and better as it goes on. And then again, I don't know if it does or not, because apparently I saw it in the wrong order. Anyway, I don't know anything anymore.
Okay,
all I can say is I really like the music that was used in the show. I'm a fan of just the way the show was set up. I just think that every episode just gets better and better. And it's funny because I really want to talk about something. I'm just looking at this fucking episode list, like, how fucking dare you? I feel like I've just been personally slighted by the episode list. So I have to not look at it. I want to mention that it's just so interesting. I mentioned dated in terms of the stories or, like, certain parts of the stories, but I should really mention how the animation is dated. I don't mean this, like, in a way to be like, oh, ha, it's so bad. But no, it's just crazy how, like, even nowadays you could just make better animation for YouTube.
Right.
Like, it's just crazy to me. Like, not that I'm saying that, again, like, much of this was a style choice, but much of this was not only limitations of the time, being 2001, but also, like I said, and I really meant it when I said cheap, and I don't mean this to, again, shut it down. I'm just saying that Cartoon Network likes cheap animation. It's just that nowadays, cheap animation, and I say cheap, and by the way, I shouldn't say Cartoon Network. Networks that want to make money, they aren't going to spend large amounts of money on animation. There's a reason why anime has kind of not really, it's kind of, I don't want to say dwindled, but I guess, like, remained somewhat stagnant, I would argue, in the West in terms of television, just on television, because networks don't really want to spend a lot of money to, pay these, these companies to put the show on air. And that's why it's like, that's why when you look at anime on Cartoon Network, there's a reason why it's just late night now. You know, even though, like, Toonami is a great slot, it's still late night once a week. There's a reason, right? There's a reason why at one point it was like, oh, hey, we have a bunch of these shows airing, middle of the day. Now it's at night, right? There's a reason why, Cartoon Network lost Pokemon, and now Disney has it. Now, again, yes, Disney, Juggernaut, of course they're going to have, but even then, even the Disney shows that, maybe, because I know we're not kids, but, like, if I asked you right now, oh, what anime is Disney currently airing, you wouldn't know.
Yeah.
Now I know. Don't ask why I know. That they're airing Yokai Watch, Doraemon. I don't know if they picked up the next season of Doraemon, though. But Doraemon, Yokai Watch, and obviously Pokemon. But, yeah, it's just, because it costs money, a lot more money than it would to just make your own cartoon. And that's why you have Cartoon Network making a lot of their own cartoons. I mean, as much besides the fact, like, look, I'm sure you have many problems with Teen Titans Go as a story, but we're not talking about that. Just the animation itself, it's very cheap.
Yes.
I'm
gonna hold my tongue.
Yeah. It's very cheap. It's not as bad as you think it is, honestly, but it's also not as good as everyone wanted it to be.
Okay.
It's literally not as.
We're not talking about that right now. We're talking about
how many episodes have you seen, Tristan?
I've seen enough.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I saw a full season, so.
Well,
you know what?
That's your loss.
And I read comic books. You know what? I'm sure you know so much about Teen Titans.
I mean, I love the show, and I've seen a few comics. I unfortunately haven't gotten to read most of the comics for it, no. But I've known people who have.
I'm not saying the show is good. I'm just saying the show isn't complete and utter shit. The way everyone tries to throw it under the bus because it's not the original. But in no way is the show amazing. In any way.
It's okay. We can have different opinions because this is radio.
It's okay. You can be wrong on the radio.
It's okay. So can you.
That's true. It's funny, though. The show isn't good. You're wrong, Matt. Wait, no, I'm saying the show isn't shit. You're wrong, but the show isn't good. You're wrong, but I'm saying the show is bad. You're wrong.
Well, then who's really the one that's flip-flopping here, Matt?
You. I made my
stance. I haven't confused you enough.
Anyway. I want to say one thing about this show that I find pretty cool. And obviously this came first, but I still think that it may have inspired a show like Afro Samurai. And seeing the connection between both in its like silent protagonist, and I know it's a trope to be like, oh, silent protagonist, samurai, but I haven't seen it in a lot of American media. And I know Afro Samurai American, I know a Japanese guy made it. In when it comes to the anime and the original concepts, and Gonzo was the company that animated it, but it was given an American dub first, and it was shown, I believe, on Spike first. So it's an American production. Like it's a lot different than still anime, I would argue, because of all the Japanese stuff intertwined and the Japanese companies working with it. But like Gonzo worked on Boondocks. Are we going to say Boondocks is an anime now? Like, no.
Oh, God.
No. You see what I mean?
Could you imagine?
Yeah, no. Like, I know there's an episode of, it's true, though. There's an episode of, I forgot, the something World of Gumball. Like, and it's not a bad show either. Although, then again, I haven't seen too much of it. I've seen, like, an episode or two. And I was like, this is an interesting show. But, like, there's a scene from Gumball. Yeah. What?
The Amazing World of Gumball.
Thank you. The Amazing World of Gumball.
The title.
And this one... Yeah, in this one episode, this one scene was done by a Japanese anime. I don't remember what company it was. But I might be like, well, that's anime. That 7-minute clip is anime, but the rest of the show isn't. But that one, like, no, right? So my point, though, is that even though it's an American production, still it's an anime, though, to be fair, like Afro Samurai. Because of, like all the Japanese work that went into it. But it's a very interesting production. Like, I would argue it's less anime than Space Dandy. Because Space Dandy is a lot more Japanese in some ways. It's funny, not in story, but like in the production process. But still, even with Space Dandy, the dub aired before the sub. Which is crazy to think about. Yeah. No, the dub would air on Toonami, and then the sub would come out on Crunchyroll, I think, like a day later.
Right.
But there's still people who swear up and down that the sub is better. And I'm like, guys, it was made at the same time.
Right.
Guys, what are you doing? Yeah. Right? Like no, because, like, I don't know, when it comes to anime, like you can sit there, and I'm not saying that you can't have a shitty American dub, even of something, of anything, right? or you can't have a shitty, English dub or shitty like Japanese dub of anything. It's just crazy to me that like, even with Space Dandy, I had friends who swore up and down, oh, the Japanese dub is just so much better, and I just can't stand the American voices. And I'm like, I mean, I guess you don't have to like the American voices, but like, it's the fucking same thing. Like, it was both worked on at the same time. What the fuck? Anyway, but speaking of Afro Samurai specifically, though, and this show, I feel like the two are very much intertwined in, like, some ways. The only difference is that we didn't give Jack a secondary character to kind of be his voice. So in ways you had to make Jack more vocal at some points.
Yeah.
But even without that ninja character, still though, it was, I don't know, it's crazy to think of like, this like weird, I guess, I feel like Afro Samurai is a little bit post-apocalyptic in ways. This, this kind of future, where like samurai is still, well, it's funny, only Jack is the last samurai, but still, even then, it feels like Afro is like the only samurai around as well. It's so strange to me, like seeing them both and like seeing how they seem very similar in some ways. But I don't know if you've seen Afro Samurai.
Yes, I have.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Right? Like, doesn't it seem like not the same show, obviously, but doesn't it seem like there are certain like similarities in the idea of just the lone samurai on his journey?
Oh, yeah.
Both have had fathers affected by tragedy that involve the main villain.
Right.
Yeah. It's a very interesting concept. Of course, again, Jack is a lot different. One thing that I don't think Tartakovsky, I don't think he worked on Clone Wars, did he? Like the one that we recently did, the 2008 Clone Wars.
No, the 2008.
He didn't do that, right?
No, he did not.
Okay. The reason why I ask is because that definitely, right?
He worked on the 2003 minisodes.
Yeah, I know he did that. The reason why I'm asking is because it definitely feels like this show follows the same exact, and I'm not saying it's a formula that hasn't been done before, but this show follows the same exact formula of, oh, gonna get real close to Aku, or, oh, gonna do the time travel thing, oh no, can't do it. Now, it's done in a more sad way, and this is why I think I enjoy it more than seeing it in Clone Wars, where it's like, oh, about to capture General Grievous. Oh, no, he got away.
Right.
And also the fact that Aku's a fucking demon lord who can just, creep into the darkness. It makes it a lot easier for him to do that rather than Grievous, which is like, Team Grievous blasting off again!
Yeah.
Yeah. But,
I mean, like, the worst part of it is Aku doesn't even need to be physically there half the time. It's just his influence. He has the entire planet in the palm of his hand.
Mm-hmm.
And with the fact that it's in the future and he's opened up, like, spaceports, like, it's funny. It made me think of Gintama, like, watching this, the backstory.
What?
What? Because it's supposed to be, ancient Japan, but they have all this technology and aliens are allowed, on Earth, and then, it turns into this whole conflict. But the fact that Aku has such an influence around the planet, like anyone, literally everyone, can be Jack's enemies. And he even says it to the Tricerequins, they're like, Jack, what we've done to you is unforgivable, like, how can I ask you to forgive us? He's like, it's not your fault. Like, you're only trying to do what was best for your people, and I know, you can't make a deal with Aku, obviously. It's like he holds all the power. There's nothing that you can give him that he can not just come and take for himself and then do what he wants with you. He does that to so many. Like, even in the second episode, when the aliens from the water planet come in and say, oh, mighty Lord, can we please inhabit your oceans? And he's like, why, yes, of course. Oh, and by the way, I'm the one who, destroyed your planet so that you would have to come live here. But I still expect you to beg me and pay tribute to me because I let you live here. And they do it willingly. Like, that's everyone is in the palm of his hand, and Jack has to live with that and deal with that, and still, due to his upbringing and his code and everything he believes in, he will still help these people.
Yes. Now, question, did they ever specify how many years into the future this is, or no?
Well, I'm not sure that they say how far into the future it takes place, but in the second episode, I know the dog, the archaeologist dogs, which I love, by the way.
Said thousands,
that was
right?
That Jack was from 25 years before Aku took over. That really doesn't give you a frame of time, but I would say yes.
Okay.
I would say if we had to ballpark it, he's probably thousands of years in the future.
Yes. Well, I only ask because it's interesting to say, like, oh, the elders are so scared of me. It makes it, and the elders are, like, still around. It just is interesting because I'm not saying he's only, like, 100 years in the future, but, like, I'm just curious, like, what year is Jack supposed to be from, technically?
I mean, I'm not really sure. And it's funny, it doesn't even necessarily, well, actually, I don't know if they ever actually use the phrase Earth. I think they did.
Right, so they may have,
like
but
it's a planet based on Earth, but maybe it's not, it doesn't follow, like, maybe the same timeline that our world does.
Yeah, I only ask because, you know, I want to know, like, is it a whole, like, oh, yeah, you know, it's 2001 or it's, you know, 2100. Like, it's not that crazy far in the future, but it's far enough that Aku has still been in power long enough to fuck everything over. Because even Aku in power for, like, 4 years, maybe 8, you know, for lucky, could still have complete horrible ramifications on the world.
Yeah. And I mean, I would argue that Aku had tortured and plundered the world for hundreds of years at that point. So I would argue multiple generations.
Yes, fair enough. No, it's interesting that, like, only now are the kids that are growing up. Again, I'm not saying it's only been one generation, because 100 years, that's nothing.
Right.
Oh, actually, I'm sorry. Under torture it is. But still, it's nothing compared to the way they made it seem like, you know, again, even with the dogs, I'm pretty sure the dog said thousands of years or something like that, or 1,000 years.
Yeah.
But still, it's crazy how only now societies seem to be thriving in a way. Like, the whole world, the way the setting, you know, the way the world is set, it's so crazy because, while I love that anything can happen, it's pretty crazy how, like, they've advanced technologically to the point where they could technically achieve time travel, at the very least light speed, theoretical time travel, but light speed at the very least. But you also still have places that are ravaged or that seem as if, you know, these people are just trying to get by. Now, again, I understand the whole, trying to get by thing. It's just crazy that you can still have scientists and aliens that exist as well. Like, I love, but also think it's crazy how they introduced aliens into the whole thing because, like, Aku is such a fucking demon. By the way, Aku means demon, if anyone doesn't know in Japanese. Yeah, that Aku is such a demon that he could literally, like, aliens have come from other worlds, and they're just like, no, this fucking guy. Yeah, like, it's crazy. Like, he essentially owns the universe in a way.
There is another, I forget exactly when it was released, like, between the seasons or if it was one of the last things, but there is another, like, TV movie special that's called, I believe it was The Birth of Evil, and it talks about, you know, Aku's beginning. And that's something we can do another cast on, but, like, it gives you a little more insight of...
He got his tragic backstory.
It's tragic, all right, but it's not tragic for Aku, I'll tell you that.
Oh, thank goodness. Anyway, but still...
When they introduced Aku as the Master of Masters, the Shogun of Sorrow, oh, God, the Deliverer of Darkness, there we go. I'm like, I know there's a third one in there. It's exactly true. Like, if you had a dictionary and you looked up a picture of Aku, that is what is written next to it.
Yes.
And it is that idea of the cosmic tale of good and evil. And, I miss that kind of thing, too. I like the fact that even though Jack is portrayed as the ultimate good and Aku is obviously the ultimate evil, Jack is still a man, though. He's still human. You know, he'll have his, you know, points where he feels like he can't go on, or that his fight is pointless, or, you know, all those things. But there's always something that nags him. Like, even when he's at the end of his wit in a fight, like, I'm not going to come out of this. I've failed. Like, everything that I fought for, you know, my family, my home, everything will remain the way it was when I left it. There's always something that brings him back from the brink. And,
you know, even Aku, at least in episode 13, I think they wanted to give him a different side, even though you and I know that that's actually great dictatorship, what he's trying to do. Because he's actually, like, it's not even great, it's actually better dictatorship than you would think, because if he, like, some people would say, oh, no, but you want to instill fear, you would kill the children. And it's like, putting the fact aside that it's a fucking kid's show, Jesus fucking Christ, I don't want to see a version of Barney. I still want to say that I love you, you love me, and if you don't, I'll kill your family.
I'm the shogun of sorrow and darkness. I'm your loving Lord Aku. Anyway.
I can just imagine Aku just, and now Baby Bop will sing for your amusement. I can't leave. Dance, Baby Bop. Dance with Mr. Knickerbocker. Anyway, I just fucking can't anymore. Oh my God, I can't fucking do this anymore. Anyway, I just fucking can't. We end the show here. Anyway, no, but seriously though, still though, right? Putting aside the fact that, like, yes, because yeah, I understand someone like, no, but you kill the children, you scare, but you need the children. They're the fucking future. If you don't have the children, you have no Earth technically, because the aliens don't give a fuck. Like, they're under your rule, but they kind of give, like, you care about scaring the humans. They're your bread and butter. You can't, like, you can't kill all the kids, and then there's only old people left because they're not going to reproduce. They're going to die off, and then what's left? Like, literally, his whole thing is, fuck these humans. That's Aku's whole thing. Fuck the humans. Make them suffer. You kill the kids, the humans are going to die.
Yeah, I'd say that for anything. Like,
what?
Almost in the way of, like, how he argued with Super, like, you know, mortals versus humans and that whole line. Like, Aku treats everyone equally, human, alien, whatever you are, equally as dirt. He is the epitome of existence.
Oh, yes, but humans trapped him, so fuck them. That's my take on it anyway.
Okay, yes, fair enough. That's true.
Yeah. Yes, that's why because why in the hell else would he care about leaving, like, oh, these kids aren't afraid of me. I need to instill fear in them, but not by killing some or all of them off. You know, like, or not by killing off the adults because they need adults. Like, literally, it's like, I will teach them to fear me. That is such a strange thing, but in a way, good dictatorship. Because again, if you just kill, like, I feel like the reason, like, in some ways, in some mistakes that he and I think I would argue other dictators make is they're just like, oh no, we'll kill opposition and make people afraid. And it's like, but if you kill the wrong people or try to hurt the wrong people or don't keep your promises in certain ways, then the people are gonna be like, wait, then either way I'm gonna die. Fuck this, let's revolt.
They have nothing. Right, they have nothing left to lose.
Exactly. So if he had given I forgot their name again. If he had given them Triceratops, if he had given them land and basically said, like, no, I'm gonna bring you guys back up, they'd have been like, great, cool. Now you have Jack, we're all good.
Yeah.
But no, he's like, screw my promises, and it's like, how about no, you demonic asshole? I'm sorry.
Well,
actually, I didn't do it right.
Yeah.
How about no, you demonic asshole? Yeah.
And I love the fact that they try and fight back, even if it is like, even if in the back of your head it's like, you know, the only thing that can hurt Aku is Jack's sword. But the fact, even Jack turns to them and says, it's like, you know, oh, we're going to make a run for it. It's like, you're going to leave all of your people behind? It's like, well, you saw what happened. It's like, no, you have to take me back. I'm the only one that can stop this. And they're like, you saw what our whole army tried to do to him, right? What do you think you're going to do? And he's like, please, trust me. And they're like I trusted
Guys.
you. And it's like, oh, all right, Jack. I love that they gave him sushi at the end of that, though. Like,
oh, I know.
I felt so happy for Jack because, like, of all the things he goes for, it's like that's one thing that can remind him of his home, like coming from ancient Japan. It's like, yeah, you know, seafood has always been a part of that culture. So it's like it's a little piece of home, and it's a good meal can, you know, kind of make any day feel better.
You know what made me laugh really hard, though? Like, because my first thought was fish is probably polluted, though. And then I remembered. Though. No, you may have forgotten about this, dude. No, not that. The fact that, although, yes, it was kind of creepy, because it's kind of like, you're eating your own people. And then I realized the voice of those characters, they were all Mark Hamill. And I was like, that makes sense. Not all, but some of them were Mark Hamill. And I was like, that's just the Joker. Like, one of them was Hamill, and I was like, this is hilarious. Because he's just because literally the second I heard it was like, why, hello, Jack. How are you doing today? Oh, we were just going to have a meal. And in my head, I was just like, to serve man, to serve Jack. It's a cookbook, Jack. I was just so, the second I heard Mark Hamill's voice, I'm like, no. By the way, not the last time Mark Hamill has played a creature of the sea. He played a dolphin in NTSF SDSUV, and it was a dolphin serial killer. It was a dolphin serial killer, Tristan.
Yes, I remember. That was probably the only actual episode of that I saw.
Wait, you saw it on your own?
Yes.
Did I have to tell you that it was Mark Hamill or no?
I think you did. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I asked you, and you were like, "Yeah, I saw that one. That was weird." And I was like, "You know, that was Mark Hamill, right?" And
Hamill, right?
Like,
yeah. And I lost my shit. Yeah.
Because it was like, "Hello, Clarice," and it's just a fucking dolphin in a fucking containment cell.
Yeah.
In a cell because it was a prison.
Yeah.
But he's fucking floating in water. And he's just fucking Hannibal Lecter. Because in the episode of NTSF SDSUV, which I believe it was like Northern Task. No. I'll get it in a second. The point is that they had to go to the actual fucking dolphin to help them solve another murder. Like another dolphin serial killer spree.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right.
National Terrorism Strike Force, San Diego Sports Utility Vehicle.
Oh, my God.
NTSF SDSUV. Fucking love that show. I don't care what anyone says. That was a really good show. I'm sad that it ended. Oh, God, it ended 4 years ago. Shit, where's my life going? Such a good show. Anyway,
going back to the past.
So Samurai Jack to Jack Black. How great would it be to have a Jack Black live-action Samurai Jack movie?
Oh.
Back to the Jack, back to the past, Samurai Jack Black. Jack Black. How much do I love Jack Black? That would hurt me. I love him so much.
Yeah.
That would hurt so bad. Anyway, by the way, the reason why I was mentioning the pollution earlier, though, why was I mentioning pollution? Because you have all those scientists, and the Earth, the air is so polluted, and I'm like, Jack is just fucking walking around all the time.
Yeah,
no, literally,
up some,
I'm like
background radiation.
Yeah, when he got hit with that freaking that energy beam in space, I was like, dude, you're not doing well, Jack.
Yeah. Not to mention that he survived the fall back to the planet.
Yeah, again, cartoon. I'm cool with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? Well, I mean, the scientists would make a spacesuit like that, though.
True, but, yeah.
The lava monster episode made me cry. Just putting that out there before we kind of wrap things up. The lava monster made me cry.
It's supposed to be the foil to Jack. Like, he's the warrior that didn't get his chance. Like, it's funny, Aku does terrible things to so many different people, but he does a different terrible thing to almost each person that, like, gave him, like, a significant... Like, I feel like he's just got, like, a list that he'll just pull out and be like, so what do I want to do to this one? Like, it's almost like Frigga in a sense. It's like, how have I not killed someone? Well, let's go this way,
he personalizes his terror. You have to appreciate it. You know, you're not going to get the same terror twice. When it happens to you, you're just like, wow, thank you, because you actually took the time to think of me. Like, if he just says, I'm going to kill you, it's like, why are you being so rude to me? I thought we had a thing going here. All right, I guess I was just nothing to you. I was just a kill. Whatever.
I do love how the show kind of looks at, like, different warriors, like, especially, you know, this one where he's like, no, I have to die honorably in battle, and I made this whole elaborate trap because I can only face, you know, the most powerful of warriors. It's the only way I'll get to Valhalla. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I was like, Valhalla, hey, this is, whoa. Like, one thing that made me sad, though, is that, like, neither one of them thought to team up. And I know that, like, that wasn't the point. That wouldn't have fit the narrative. But I was really hoping that they would, because, like, I want to one day see Jack, I know, like, he's doing it on his own, quote unquote, but work with an army. And I know you were saying it would be nice if, you know, that'll be season 5, apparently the final season as well. So that'll be, you know, season 5 coming up. It would be nice to see something like that happen. And because, again, I look at the show and, you know, I like it so far, of course, and, you know, obviously they weren't planning on, like, ending it in a season. They had all 4 seasons planned out, clearly. But at least it seems like they did. Because, again, you know, they were all greenlit from the looks of it, and I was like, oh, okay. But still, it's strange to me that, you know, it's just kind of like you put a situation like this. Like, I understand why Jack wouldn't team up with the Scotsman, because fuck him and that guy. Like, fuck that guy. Like, they were all, like, they were both, like, at each other's. They're like, look, we're not going to kill each other, but we're going to go our separate fucking ways. We're good. We're good.
Well,
man.
I mean, that's the funny part. Like, they do become fast friends because they realize, hey, you're a pretty good warrior. Yeah, you're not so bad yourself. And that they're both wanted, you know, by Aku. It's like, we have so many other people trying to kill us. Why do we need to try and kill each other? It's like, yeah, you know what? That is kind of silly. Let's work together.
Yeah.
And, like,
I
friends.
hated the Scotsman.
Like, what?
I was saying I hated the Scotsman at first because of how belligerent he was.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
but
yeah.
The second,
he was rude as fuck.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
The fact that he calls Jack rude. Like, even Jack, like, double took, like, excuse me? Like, oh, I nearly fell out of my chair. I'm like, you gotta be shitting me right now.
Yeah. But I want to say, though, that, you know, I still understand, even though I love that, you know, they started working together, because, like, wait, you're being, you know, Aku must be after me. Wait, he's after me.
Yeah.
What?
Aku has a price on my head. Aku has a price on my head.
You know, because for the longest time it felt like that was a great character introduced, because for the longest time it felt like, oh no, everyone is under his rule and everyone's scared at this point in the story, other than Jack. It's only Jack. It's like, no, this guy who knows nothing of Jack, fuck Jack, right? He doesn't give a shit about Jack, but he's just doing his own thing, and he ends up, he's bounty, because knowing this fucker, he said some shit about Aku.
Right. Oh, yeah.
He totally said some shit. Like, just something off the cuff, and Aku's like, I don't like him. And then it's just like, kill him. And now he's on the fucking run. It just makes sense for this asshole. But anyway, my point is I'm cool with the two of them not teaming up. But the lava monster, you know, this dude, I'm like, look, I know the story is set to, you know, have him die and go to Valhalla. And it was such a sweet ending. I really was tearing up. But it's a lot easier, I think, for these two to be like, no, if you want to die in battle against Aku. You can leave, can't you? Like, he's cursed to be a lava monster, but I don't think he's trapped there specifically, is he?
Well, the thing, he was trapped in crystal, and then he only, through apparently sheer force of will, was able to construct the lava body. So his mortal body was still trapped in that crystal, and when he's freed, the crystal is destroyed, but then he ages all those years that he was trapped in the crystal.
No. That's obvious. I'm saying that he couldn't have been lava body. I guess maybe the story is you can't be lava body outside the body of lava. Haha, being serious.
Yeah.
So if he had been walking around normally, it'd be like, no, you have to construct something out of like dirt or trees or some shit, which that's too much to address, right? So
yeah,
maybe if you
I
want
think he was pretty much
yeah.
bonded to the area that he was encased in.
Got it. Fair enough. Because it was kind of sad because it wasn't necessarily addressed. Like, it's like, oh, I made a body out of this lava. And it's like, great, so leave. Wreck some shit with, now you could argue, oh, he had nothing to live for, but that's the whole reason why you want to fuck up Aku even more. You have nothing else to live for. You know?
Right.
And here's the funny thing, too, right? If it was any other warrior, then it wouldn't matter. But because it's Jack, who's just like, I also have a problem with this Aku guy. Just putting it out there. I mean, you have a problem. I also have a problem. Maybe we should. I mean, heck, I love it. Just look at the magma monster. You're not a sexy lady.
Oh God.
No, seriously, the one woman.
Yeah.
I have a problem with Aku. Oh, I know, me do the same. Oh, but oh my God, I have so many problems with Aku. Look, we have so much in common. We should do this together.
Right.
So one woman. Yeah, no, I mean, oh my God, I also hate Aku. Like, it was so bad, One dude. I have a problem with Aku. Yeah, I know, me too. I should kill you. Like, I know, he asked to be killed, but still. I'm sorry, bro. Putting it out there. Sorry, man. Just putting it out there. The one dude, one girl. Both have problems with Aku. Jack, the guy, kill me. Jack, fucking sure. She's like, kill me. Oh, no. You could never die. You must live on for your father's sake.
Jack's
That didn't actually happen,
human.
but I swear to God it would.
I'll
What?
just throw that out there.
What'd you say? Jack is still human? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. If you're telling me that design for the lava monster wasn't sexy, I don't know what the fuck to tell you.
All right. Well, you know what? Maybe we shouldn't do this together anymore.
Well, I just love it's on the air. All right, then. So nice to see you, everyone. We're never doing a podcast again. And that's just where it ends. Well, I guess we're never doing a podcast again. All right, everyone. Nice to see you again. Oh, before we end, though, I have to tell you, did you see, I think it was the somewhat raunchy joke they did with the spacesuits in the space episode, or no?
I think I might know what you're talking about.
When everyone was dancing and they're all in the different spacesuits, there's one spacesuit that is a bit larger and it has both a man and a woman in the same spacesuit.
Right. Yes, I did see that.
And it's so funny though, because I'm I don't know how they got that through, because the legs are still there, assuming they're the men's, but they were smaller, although the style is different, so you don't know. But it was interesting because it was it could just be a couple, just hi, we're such a couple, oh my God, some couples are such couples, they're in each other's fucking spacesuits. But at the same, and they were talking normally, so it wasn't they were just because if they weren't talking, I'd be oh.
Right.
But they were just having a normal conversation from the looks of it, but they were both in the same spacesuit, and I'm how did they get away with that? Because they're also facing each other, which means that she would have to be sitting on his lap, and I'm
I feel like you're thinking about it more than people would figure the 3-second flash of it. I don't know.
So you're telling me that it wasn't meant to be sexual? It was just two people just in a spacesuit. Just Tristan, get in my spacesuit. It won't be weird.
Well, we don't have a spacesuit, Matt, so I guess we'll never know.
Yeah, exactly. You know what that's the equivalent of? You know what that's the fucking equivalent of? If any of you have seen Pulp Fiction. When fucking Samuel L. Jackson and when both Vincent and Jules are talking about foot rubs. Have you seen Pulp Fiction or no, Tristan?
No. I know
they're talking about foot rubs, and Jules, which is Samuel L. Jackson's character, says there's nothing sexual about foot rubs. Right? Nothing sexual about it. So you know about the clip that I'm talking about or no?
No, but I'm just imagining
He's
how
saying
ridiculous.
This. No, he's saying there's nothing sexual about foot rubs. And then Vincent, which is God. Oh, come on. Am I blanking out on this actor's name?
It's God?
No, John Travolta's character.
Right.
And so his character says, no, there definitely is something sexual about foot rubs. And Jules is like, no, there isn't at all. And he's like, really? He's like, yeah, I'd give my grandma a foot rub. Like, there's nothing weird like or sexual about foot rubs. And he's like,
right.
And out of nowhere, like there's a pause. He's like, you ever give another man a foot rub? He's like, fuck you. So it was hilarious because, like, that's how I feel right now, where I'm just like, so then get in my spacesuit. And you're like, well, I mean, we don't have one. That's the equivalent of fuck you.
Oh.
Anyway, but yeah, there was that little raunchy thing, and also there's actually a nod to Samurai Jack and Powerpuff Girls, and this isn't like some shitty joke. I'm being serious. Do you know the nod that I'm referring to? Yeah.
Yes.
If anyone wants to know, in the episode where the Powerpuff Girls go to the future and him has taken over. I think it wasn't even a real future, although it might have been. It's been a while since I've seen Powerpuff Girls. But the point is that him had taken over. And at this time, Tartakovsky was working on Powerpuff Girls as well.
Right.
So when the Powerpuff Girls are flying through Townsville, they had there's the sign, the dog sign that's in the third episode is also in Powerpuff Girls.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious because at that point Jack had already been out, so any eagle-eyed fans would have been like, "Wait a minute,
right?
That's from Samurai Jack," which would make people think like, "Oh, it's the same universe," but it obviously isn't because him has taken over, and obviously, like, you can't have both be the same universe. No, like
right.
Aku would have already been there.
Right. There's so many jokes that I heard as a kid, like, "Oh, Powerpuff Girls and Samurai Jack are the same universe." And, like, shit like that. And I laughed. I really did.
Yeah. But yeah, so we'll talk more about the world overall, I think, in the next episode that we do in Season 2, because I definitely want to just discuss, like, how crazy it is, how the world can evolve in this way. But we don't really have the time right now, and we've been talking about this for a bit too long, honestly. So, I just want to say...
No.
What? It's been nearly 2 hours.
We cannot talk about this long enough.
I mean, that's true, too, but it's been 2 hours. Anyway. So I want to thank you all for watching. As always, we love you guys. We love that you're here with us going through another Anna Saturday, talking about something that is near and dear to Tristan's heart and that I really enjoy. Right? Just the differences in love for Jack right now. Like, I really enjoy it a lot and I love it, but it's not as near and dear as this is to you. This is your childhood, essentially. So anyway. But I want to thank you all again, as always. Mention that we have some merchandise you can get over at our main website, thoseguysontheradio.tumblr.com/merchandise, and over on our eBay /thoseguysradio. Also want to mention that if you like our podcast, you might also like our Let's Plays, which are actually on YouTube. You can check them out by searching up Those Guys Play. And currently we have Season 3 running right now every Saturday. And while this podcast comes out, not only do we have Season 3 out, but we also have something called 12 Nights of Love because, it's February. We're coming up to Valentine's Day. But on a daily basis up until and on Valentine's Day on our YouTube channel, Those Guys Play, I will be releasing a show called 12 Nights of Love where each and every night, or each and every day rather, but sometimes it'll come out at night, I'll be playing a new dating sim. And so far, Tristan, by the way, if anyone's like, well, what have you played? I've played the Nicolas Cage dating simulator. I might have to just stop there, but I have. I've played simulators where I've dated birds. I'm sorry, I was a bird. I was dating other household items. I was a bird. I was dating other animals in a petting zoo, and they were all very wacky and interesting. I've dated robots. I've dated, oh my God, what have I dated? Oh, I was a goat trying to date other goats. This is a very interesting show. Right?
Wow.
Very interesting.
You must be really great. You must be really great, trying to find, matchmaking in this dystopian future that's been ruled by Aku for centuries. Like, good on you, man.
It's just weird, man, because every time I try to date someone, they just turn out to be Aku.
Yeah, I know. It sucks.
I feel like he would do that to fuck with people.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, so.
Already did it to Jack,
what?
so.
Exactly. But anyway, so going back to those guys' play, so there's a lot of, I mean, you and I, Tristan, in all seriousness, we're at the end of the show, we have to promote things. You and I have played Dragon Ball Z Budokai, another, like, something from both of our childhoods that we've been able to play on Those Guys Play, and a lot of other video games that you can go check out. I mean, again, we're already at Those Guys Play Season 3, which is nuts. We've been doing this for a while now. But I also want to mention that our podcast that you're listening to right now, I would assume, because here you are listening to us. I assume you're listening to a podcast. You may have found it through our Blog Talk Radio account, which is Those Guys on the Radio, or you may have found it through our iTunes, which you may have searched up Those Guys on iTunes and found us there, or heck, you may have found us on YouTube looking at our backlog of podcasts by searching up Those Guys on the Radio. So you can find us in a multitude of ways. Also, check out our TG Productions YouTube channel that will be updated with TG News in the near future, which is something that we used to do that we're actually bringing back this year because yeah. Also, check out our Patreon if you want to donate any amount to us, Patreon being TG Productions. But donating to our Patreon isn't just giving us some nice money, which we would like. It's you can also get something out of it as well. So not only depending on how much you donate to us, we can actually put money towards getting a Nintendo Switch to give you guys even more Let's Plays, or towards a capture card for our Nintendo 3DS. Not just that, right? By donating, you could also get us. We could either give you a shout out either on the podcast, the Let's Plays, or on TG News as a sponsor, or you can actually suggest podcasts and Let's Plays for us to do. So you actually sit there, depending on how much you donate, and say, hey, we would love to do a podcast on this. So it could be like, top 5 animated shows that you like. Instead of it just being about a specific show or a specific amount of episodes, it could be about concepts. With the Let's Plays, it could literally be, myself or any host. Heck, it doesn't even have to be me. It could be any host you want to come together to play a certain game. Just, again, depending on how much you donate on Patreon, you can get anything you guys want, right, within reasonable confines. You can get anything you guys want depending on, what rewards tiers we have up. So, again, go on our Patreon, TG Productions, and, donate if you guys want to. Right? Also, Those Guys in the Radio at gmail.com is our email. Yell at us. Or not. Yell at us, we like your work. Or we like your work. Whichever one. Right? Our social media accounts, by the way, which I did mention in the beginning. Our Facebook is /Those Guys on the Radio. Our Twitter is @ThoseGuysRadio. And our Instagram is /Those Guys on the Radio. Thank you all. Going to end things here and say good night, Tristan.
I must return to my homeland. I must return to the past.
Selden? 2005?
I hate you.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.